we were, right?
Yes.
Or do I need to look?
If you're comfortable looking at me, actually I'll just...
I'm more comfortable looking at you.
Okay, then I'll just kind of get a little closer here so that Joe, so it's, I don't want it like she's looking off camera.
I'm more comfortable if it's more like a conversation.
Like, okay, this is going to be good.
Is that okay?
Okay, but she's going to be looking at me.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, look at her.
Okay.
Hi, Sue.
Hi.
Thanks for meeting with me today.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
I want to know, how does a buyer prepare to get in today's mortgage market?
Well, I would say that there are several things a buyer should do. The first thing that I always advise my clients to do is to sit down, whether it's if they're buying the home themselves or with their spouse or another person, sit down and make their own budget for their housing expense. And by that I mean what they're willing to pay every month into a lender for their mortgage, for their taxes, and for their insurance, and if there's any HOA dues, if they have any HOA dues. The reason for that is many people plan a mortgage payment, but what they're not remembering are their property taxes on top of all that, as well as insurance, and those items can really add up. So if you and your spouse or you by yourself just sit down and make the budget, then that will allow me to arrive at a purchase price that you can afford. Chances are I can approve you for more than you're willing to, pay for your housing expense every month. So that is number one important. The second thing that a buyer should do is to get fully pre-approved. And by that I mean for a loan. Fully pre-approved means that we go through all aspects of the file up front, so that if there's any speed bumps along the way, they can be anticipated before the buyer gets into an escrow. So for example, not only should a buyer run a credit report, but we should analyze that credit report. And if there's any little things that need to be fixed on it, or let's say that we want a few more points, a few more credit report points to show, we have plenty of time for that to happen and prepare for that. So that's very good. On the other by the same token, if there are mistakes on the credit report or other people's information on that person's credit report, that's equally as damaging. So we need time to fix that, and we do that all in the pre-approval process.
Oh, good.
As well as analyze their income and of course their down payment and so forth. And we go through the tax returns as well as the pay stubs. That's very important to go through the tax returns. Tax returns, we in the lending environment today, we do get tax transcripts on every single file, and that's industry-wide.
So that's different than it used to be.
Yes, it is. It's very different than it used to be, and it's not only that we accept their pay stubs if that's the way they're getting paid, but we actually have to go line by line and verify the tax transcripts. The lender does. So sometimes there's items on those taxes that we have to account for their income, and that could be detrimental. So it's nice to know that up front so we can address that.
Okay.
The other thing that we also go through in the pre-approval process are the down payments. The down payment sourcing. It's very important that the borrower starts saving a certain amount every month for the down payment. But aside from that, it's very important for them to source. I explained sourcing the deposit. In other words, it has to be seasoned. It's called seasoning. We have to have our money seasoned in their accounts for 60 days, if that's applicable. If that's a gift, we source it from the giver of the gift and so forth. So it's very helpful to do that, so we don't miss any paper trails.
Okay. May I ask a question about gift funds?
Sure.
Do gifts have to come from a family member?
Yes, for the most part.
Okay.
There are exceptions to that. but for the most part, yes, it does. There's a family member of some sort. Now FHA is a little bit different. You can. Oh shoot! Oh God, I blew it.
I'm sorry. No.
Now we got to start over again.